you like to add any other comments?
Yeah, I just want to support the comment. The thing about trends is important because it means that sometime in the future when your innovations are ready in your product development or business development, when they actually get launched in 1 year or 2 years from now, that trend means that that product will still be viable in the market. It hasn't changed. So that's why trends are important. The key point, I think, is also you need to have barriers to entry. This is so fundamental if you're going to have breakthroughs. If you're going to break through, the day somebody copies it, it's not called a breakthrough anymore. And so a lot of people think of something new to the company, and therefore it's innovative. It is innovative, but it may not be a breakthrough. So you have to think very hard on what are you going to design in the process of innovation to make barriers to entry. It's fundamental.
The other question runs, how do you make innovation real? How can you do that?
And I think this is a big challenge for a lot of companies because it has to get embedded in the organization. It has to be reflected in the performance measurement system and rewards and recognition. We need to celebrate innovation across the company. And people need to kind of think and act differently along what we see as kind of 6 critical dimensions. They need to kind of think beyond their comfort zone to what's next and what if, and be comfortable and confident dealing with that. They need to kind of think beyond individual projects and think about larger platforms, things like ECOS, et cetera, that allow them to expand significantly the power of a brand or the power of a theme. So they need to kind of go beyond. They need to think beyond kind of individual budget items and really drive for broader pipelines across multiple horizons. They need to think beyond what they can control themselves so they can work with partners both elsewhere in the company as well as up and down the value chain. They need to not only think innovatively, they need to act entrepreneurially. They need to be willing to test things rapidly, experiment rapidly, and they need to measure the right things and reward the right behavior. Because if in the end the kind of measures and metrics that the company uses, whether it's triple bottom line or whatever it is, if that doesn't reflect the importance of innovation, if it's not cascaded down into the performance measurement system so that people feel they're at least getting recognized, if not actually rewarded, for driving major innovations, it won't stick. It'll be seen as the flavor of the month, the fragrance of the month. And so you've got to kind of embed it across the organizational structures, the performance measurement system. That's again what makes innovation so hard to sustain, because you get complacent. You know, if you've done really well for a while, you say, we can just continue to do this. We don't need to think beyond. We don't need to have stretch targets. Everything's fine. And it might be fine for a year or two, but if you haven't embedded innovation and made it real across the organization, the company will start to, as Tyler said earlier, it's innovate or die, and things will start. And once you go down that slippery slope, it's hard to get back up. So making it real, making it sustainable, making it stick is one of the hardest challenges. There's lots of companies who have individual one-off innovations, but to make it something you do year in and year out, whether it's in the business model or your manufacturing processes or the offerings you're taking to market or the way you are driving the customer experience, it has to be something that is embedded across all of those functions.
I see. Thank you. Would you like to add?
Sure. I think one of the things is to get people to recognize that they need to be more than managers. And so they're going to act more like leaders. And managers are given budgets, and they're given a project, and they have a start date and a finish date and a resource allocation. And they do that very well. So that's our project managers and individuals of this type. But what we have to create is people who are able to also look around for what's next, what if. And they are spending a significant amount of time thinking about what's next and what if. But they're spending most of the real time on the day-to-day. So this balance is very important to make innovation real, yeah? And I think the other important piece of this is within the organization, there has to become a culture which says that we are experimenting. And the people in R&D, the people in product development understand what that means. They're learning. Experiment means to make mistakes, to find results you don't like. But the word experimenting allows you to do that. And you don't call a failure in experiment a failure. You said, what did you learn? And so to create a learning environment is important. And that environment in R&D should be a company culture, where in marketing or in strategy, the same thinking is going on. What are we experimenting? And if somebody makes a mistake, you have a tolerance for those mistakes and say, what did we learn? And so failure forgiving cultures are important around that.
Okay, thank you. Finished.
Great.